Stargate SG-1 ran for 10 successful seasons from 1997 to 2007, but was canceled before being able to fully resolve its plotlines. This led to the creation of a straight-to-DVD sequel titled Stargate: The Ark of Truth in 2008. This is how we wrapped up the Ori story, and honestly it's not as bad as the straight-to-DVD release might suggest. I'm Dr. Ursa, and well, let's talk about Stargate: The Ark of Truth. So let's give you a quick background on this if you don't mind.
The Alterans existed roughly 10 to 100 million years ago in a faraway galaxy and were the first evolution of humanity. They eventually divided into two distinct groups, one which became known as the Ori and another which became known as the Ancients, which had huge philosophical differences. The Ori leaned on religious fundamentalism, while the Ancients believed in education and knowledge and science. This led to a whole but again, this took place at the same time as the Ori and the Ori were trying to better religious society, so the Ancients decided to leave. Before they left, they became the Ark of Truth, which had changed people's minds. They decided to leave, however, for historians who said the Ark was and the galaxy, traveling far away, this led the whole inside Atlantis, and everything went back to an ancient time. Therefore, the Ark is history, seeing the human generated Goa'uld, blah, blah, blah,
So, they fought the Ori for several seasons. We had a whole plot line with Adria, Vala's half-Ori child, who eventually passed and ascended, and the show ended with the main crew sending a weapon through the Supergate back to the Ori galaxy that would essentially kill ascended beings. The movie picks up with them searching for this item, the Ark of Truth, mentioned earlier in the background, that could change people's minds and reveal to all the people of the Ori galaxy, the human soldiers being led by the priors that are still very much wiping folks out, that the Ori were false gods. You know how we feel about false gods around here.
False god. Dead false god.
It really begs some questions. It's kind of like, hey y'all, remember that device we built that can literally change people's minds and seems tailor-made to this situation? Yeah, but we're way too ethical to use that even though we built it to full completion knowing exactly what it does. So the movie picks up with Daniel, Mitchell, Vala, Teal'c, and Carter working together to discover the Ark of Truth, which is later revealed to actually be a trap to reveal the new Ori suppression devices and try and prove to the Ori followers that they're not as divine or powerful as they think. This leads us to Tommen, Vala's ex-husband from the Ori universe, who is a huge commander for the Ori army. They eventually get together and talk, and when a prior is killed, he learns they're not immortal.
Kill them now! I command you!
This has him challenge his faith and learn the truth, and he ends up joining up with Team SG-1 to track down the true Ark of Truth, which they do believe is back in the Ori home galaxy. Colonel Mitchell is given temporary command of the Odyssey in order to lead this, but unfortunately IOA agent Merrick is assigned to oversee the mission.
No, I see. Look, I'm sorry. I really don't want to step on any toes here. My superiors have asked me to prepare a report on this matter personally, and I don't want to disappoint them.
Mitchell really should have just confined this asshole to quarters right away with armed guards, and that would have avoided a lot of problems that are yet to come in this movie. Once the whole team is underway, I do appreciate this small scene of Teal'c trying to talk to Tommen, because no one else can really relate to him as far as the idea of like, I used to be a bad guy, I saw the error of my ways, and now I'm trying to spend the rest of my life making good for it.
One day others may try to convince you they have forgiven you. That is more about them than you.
I mean, Teal'c was not a young man when he joined the team and had been the first prime of Apophis for quite a while. Real recognizes real, though.
You will never find personal retribution. But your life does not have to end.
Christopher Judge is great. I saw a clip of him recently learning what a furry is at a convention. And I just want to reiterate my continued support of this man and wish him nothing but success in the future. The fact that MGM wanted to dip into Battlestar Galactica vibes with the SGO show, for better or worse, and did not use the amazing BC-304 setting that existed already is almost criminal. I had to let my cat noodle in the room, so forgive me if he shows up or cries out at this point. We get to see them take the Odyssey through the Supergate, and intergalactic travel is just always a fun concept in sci-fi.
Now that we're actually here, it's kind of cool.
Most of these Ori settings always scream to me like the Sci-Fi Channel really trying to cash in on some of their fantasy props and sets that they had built for other projects. It is what it is. I guess it's, better than the Canadian forest again. I always like the sci-fi trope of just bringing the person up to the ship and showing them that, like, hey, science, the future, look, your planet is round. No flat Earth if you can just see it, right?
Marks, transport Colonel Carter and myself back up to the ship now.
Alright, these little moments crack me up where they talk about to teleport up to the Odyssey or what have you, to transport to the ship. I spent some time in the Army myself, and I just want to point out that we already co-opt phrases from pop culture. And my point is that if we created teleportation technology, you are damn straight that someone is going to say, to beam up. I also like this little moment of another SG team dealing with a prior and communicating back to General Landry. Do I need to let you out now? Are you done? So we then learn that Agent Merrick has broken free and has accessed the Asgard core and is using it to build replicators, with his plan being to release them into the Ori ships and galaxy and deal with the problem that way.
I assume that your plan forced me to take action against them. Carter.
Almost.
And honestly, knowing the history of Stargate, this is like the dumbest shit that any bad guy could actually do. And I'm honestly kind of concerned that the Asgard core was not hard-coded against creating replicators, considering how their entire civilization died. This guy just single-handedly brought back the Lego flood.
There are always other options. You're just failing to consider them.
The enemy of my enemy will consume us all. So, okay, who had replicators on their bingo card as surprise bad guys for the Stargate movie?
Plus, we have a little replicator problem, so we're going to jump into hyperspace to avoid the bad guys while we deal with them.
I'm sorry, did you say replicator problem?
I do like this scene when they're explaining to the ground crew what's going on and that little flash of trauma on the main cast face when they hear the word replicator. Like, dude, those things suck. With a little pocket C4 and a lot of luck, the ground crew is able to find the Ark before getting into battle with a lot of Ori forces, and sadly, Teal'c takes a shot and goes down.
Odyssey, this is Teal'c. Come in.
He sometimes suffers from Worf syndrome, like in Star Trek The Next Generation. And that's where they need to kind of increase the stakes and show something's dangerous or someone's a badass. And so you have to use the badass on the good guys team to take the hit because they're the one that can take it. We get to see General Landry interrogating the prior that wanted to communicate with him. And it's your typical, woe is you, we're going to kill Earth, bow to the Ori type speech from the prior. But I appreciate that General Landry put on the badass leather jacket to talk to this guy. I honestly miss some of the fashion from the military. Some of the dress and utility uniforms kind of just do the deal in the moment.
I have to tell you, even if I did let you have your say, I don't think my world is going to listen.
Humans are doomed, but it's by our own hand, so go away and let us take care of this ourselves. I always appreciated the general attitude of Stargate in screw your false god, we'll kill him if we have to, but either way, get the fuck out of our face. Humans are space orcs. We see the replicators have set up on the ship and are now reproducing. I mean, it's in the name. And they even have a convenient queen form now that Mitchell's able to track down on his own.
Don't want me to blow it up.
Not yet.
Instead of being able to immediately take out the queen, however, Mitchell starts setting up some C4 in the hopes that once Carter can find the disassemble command, they'll be able to deal with this all in one fell swoop. We see the main cast being tortured by priors of the Ori and even meet the Docai, who is the head prior for these guys. Chief No Eyebrow guy is kind of a bad deal. Everyone is hanging off the edge of their seats for the part of the movie where Teal'c walks through the Canadian mountains. Really fantastic shots though. Beautiful scenery, and Teal'c's a badass, so I just support anything he does. We get a few more scenes of Michael Shanks showing off his acting ability as Daniel Jackson.
No. No.
No, I've had it.
Jokes aside, Daniel knows how to call out ascended beings like no one else and really quickly identifies that he's talking to Morgan Le Fay. She is real and that, she could do more if she wanted to. This is when Morgan reveals to us that Adria, after she ascended at the end of season 10, came back to the Ori home galaxy and assumed the mantle of their power. This makes her a little stronger than your typical ascended being, and therefore more than Morgan could handle herself. So then we learn that the Ark of Truth has a truth clause built into it, which means that it cannot change anyone's mind to something that's not actually true, which brings into question why the Alterans didn't use it to begin with. I guess that's a major difference between us and them. We'll take you up to the ship and show you the truth, and they take the whole, you'll get there on your own approach. I prefer our way. So while Mitchell's waiting to blow up the Replicator Queen, we learn the Replicators have taken Merrick and turned him into some sort of Replicator Terminator, thus making the bad guy even more of a bad guy. They begin to fight, and it begs the question, why do people try to fight the Terminator? Why do people try to stab the Terminator? And most importantly of all, why does the Terminator try to dodge the knife? You gotta think about these things. Anyway, the fight goes on just long enough to get silly, and we cut back and forth between the events on the ship and the events on the ground. We see Teal'c get sensu beamed by a mysterious figure that's totally not Morgan Le Fay, and you know, whatever. I support Teal'c in everything he does. This brings him back, and now he's off to rescue the rest of the crew. What more do you need? So, even after some electrocution and all this other crazy stuff, of course Replicator Merrick is still alive. There's a brief moment where his human side's able to come through, and he reveals that the kill code for the Replicators is written on the back of the crystal. This is relayed back to Carter, and Mitchell is finally able to set off the explosives, thus burning Replicator Merrick to pieces. This leads to a cool scene though, where the Replicator skeleton crawls out of the ashes on the ground and begins threateningly approaching Mitchell, right before Carter's able to enter the kill code and make all the little Lego pieces fall apart. Cool scene, and I kind of wish they would have gotten this dark with these things in the past. I do appreciate that as Teal'c comes in to save them, you get the classic trope from any show or game or anything like this, where being rescued by your friend magically heals all your injuries and makes all the torture go away. So with the Replicator threat finally eliminated on the ship, we're able to get back to the events at hand, and we see the ground crew struggling against the Docile in what seems to be a bit of a boss fight against his powerful telekinetic butt. Daniel's able to activate the Ark, and then Teal'c is able to get a lucky shot off, knocking the table over and making the Docile take a full truth beam to the face. As he hits this, the message is spread telepathically to all the priors across the Ori galaxy, revealing the truth, thus drastically reducing the amount of power and worship that Adria is able to access. The Docile's first words are even a variation on, "Lord, forgive me, for I know not what I did." We see Morgan Le Fay come in at this point and call Adria out, now that they're more evenly matched, and she engages in an Oma and Anubis style battle, thus trapping Adria for the rest of eternity and effectively ending the Ori threat to all of existence.
Not if I have anything to do with it.
You're no match for me.
I am now.
We cut back to seeing Daniel using the Ark of Truth on the Prior at Stargate Command, thus spreading the word to all the Priors throughout the Milky Way galaxy, ending the Ori War once and for all. Thankfully, the Ark's not a one-time use weapon, right? We see Vala and Toman have a tearful goodbye, and we learn that Toman is off to try and lead his people and correct a lot of the mistakes that they've been making in the name of the Ori.
I know I'll never make up for the things I've done. But I promise you I'll spend the rest of my life trying.
I know.
Good luck, buddy. Religious crusades can be a little hard to come back from. And then we end with the crew getting ready to head out on their next away mission, happy and hopeful to be together and move on to the next big thing.
There are still many planets in our gate system that remain unexplored.
Yes, let's see what mysteries P3K546 will hold.
And what treasure?
So that was what we got instead of season 11. Well, half of it at least. As Yoda would say,
There is another.
But more on that in another video. Do you think this was a satisfactory end to the Ori arc? Let me know your opinion down below. And if you weren't a fan of the Ori, let me know who your favorite villain from SG-1 was instead. Let me know what you think of this style of video review if you don't mind. I plan to cover Stargate Continuum, the other half of what should have been Season 11, but there are a lot of other fun options out there. I've always been partial to the Dune miniseries from Sci-Fi, so maybe we cover that while Dune's popular. Please consider subscribing to my channel so you don't miss any of these future videos, and take a look through my other stuff and see if there's anything you might like. Thank you for watching. I appreciate any and all of your time. I've been Dr. Ursa, and until next time, take care.